Good day to you, fellow Ambazonians, and to all our friends. Good day to you all. Power is the currency of international relations. Power is the currency in the international system. Those without power do not belong. Those without power have no space. Those without power have no voice. Those without power do not exist in the international system. That's the first thing we all must keep in mind. For any group of persons, especially for us, the Amazonian people, to be free, to be recognized, to be accepted as members of the international community requires power. You don't build power, you become a beggar and you become a victim to the international predators. All right? There's a lot happening in Cameroun and there's a lot happening within the Ambazonian liberation politics. And today we want to unpack. All right? Today I'm going to do some unpacking of what's going on within La République and what's also happening within the Ambazonian liberation political space, the misadventurism of some of movements, the miscalculation of some of the movements. Now things there is a boomerang in some of the actions that some movements have been taking, and so I'm here to deliver. Like what's really going on? Okay, first a couple of things are going on. This week we are now in the third week of the lockdown, of the closure of Trans-African Highway, the Mamfe-Ekok Highway, the Mamfe-Kumba Highway, the Mamfe-Bamenda Trans-African Highway by the Ambazonia Governing Council, and is being enforced by the Ambazonia Defense Forces and our sister forces. We're now in the third week, and the roads will be reopened on the 4th of April. All right, all roads, the Trans-African Highway, the closure will come to an end on the 4th of April. There will be an evaluation. If there will be an extension, there will be the governing council, the leader, and the cabinet will do an evaluation in consultations with the top generals on the ground and all our sister forces if there will be an extension or a new policy will be introduced. Whatever needs to happen, we will inform the Ambazonian people on time. We will educate our people on the necessity of some of the actions that are being taken by the governing council, the economic sabotage actions, the economic blockade actions to force and create and put more pressure on Cameroon. We will announce that to you all. Also this week, a fighter of the Bafut 7 Qatar, for some reasons that are still classified, ventured into the ADF territorial control in Alabuka without any notification to the command, without any notification to the barrack, without any pre-information of his coming to that community. And I happened to receive a call from the commander of one of the commanders of the 7 Qatar in Bafut, who informed me that one of his fighters had been killed in Alabuka. At the time, we had no information of the incident. I reported the information to leadership, and then a few hours later, we also were informed by ADF Central Command that a fighter of Bafut 7 Qatar was killed in Alabuka for a lot of things that at the time appeared to be very suspicious. And so details of all of those things will be made public to the Ambazonian people by the War Council. The leader immediately got in touch with the leadership of 7 Qatar, got in touch with the commanders in Alabuka, and the leader sent out a message to express sincere apologies and regret of that action. We believed the soldier should have been arrested, detained, and then after a thorough investigation before any other decision was taken. But I'm not here to make any conclusion. The leader had put out a statement to express regret and send out condolences and a message of apology to Bafut 7 Qatar. There had been a meeting with the leadership of Bafut 7 Qatar on that issue, and the Ambazonia Governing Council have actually provided compensation to Bafut 7 Qatar and the family. The closure of the Trans-African Highway by the Ambazonia Governing Council is part of our liberation strategy to place high economic cost on Cameroon, to increase the economic hardship on Cameroon, to mount more pressure on Cameroon in terms of internal pressure. Cameroon depends on Ambazonia for its economic survival. Cameroon depends on Ambazonia for its food survival. Cameroon depends on Ambazonia for its resource survival. So therefore, the Ambazonia Governing Council that created the liberation strategy invoked our people's right of self-defense, launched the economic sabotage against Cameroon, has reviewed our strategy and adopted a new method to mount and increase pressure on Cameroon. That's why we closed the Trans-African Highway. It's not a policy in any shape or form to inflict pain or punishment on the Ambazonian people. It is a policy meant purposefully, intentionally, to send Cameroon economically to its knees. So we understand there is a lot of noise out there by a group of persons that are now classified as Assembly of Confucianists. Those that are working with CPDM elites, those that are working with SDF elites, those that are whining and dining with Cameroon political opposition members. They make a lot of noise to draw sympathy. Sympathy is not a strategy for liberation. Our people are not suffering. Our people are not living in poverty. Our people are not living in a hopeless environment because of the Ambazonian resistance. Our people are suffering because of the conditions, the occupation condition, purposefully, deliberately orchestrated by Cameroon as a means to subjugate our people, to force them to surrender and to force our people to depend on Cameroon. As a responsible movement, as a responsive movement, as a movement that bears the responsibility for the liberation, whatever policy we take, we factor in and try to mitigate any harmful effect or unintended consequences on our population. The goal of the Ambazonia Governing Council is to end the suffering of the Ambazonian people that's imposed on them by Cameroon. The goal of the Ambazonia Governing Council is to free our people and therefore give them the life, the opportunity, the dignity that has been denied on them by Cameroon. So no policy we do take is aimed at punishing or imposing any form of hardship or suffering on our people. But as a people, we must make short-term sacrifices for long-term benefits. As a people, we must make short-term, we must endure, we must bear short-term degree of pain for long-term pleasure. As a people. So our people may not be able to use the Trans-African Highway or highways, but all other roads in Ambazonia are open and free for movement, for transportation, for the movement of goods and services. There is no territorial lockdown except the highway closures. And it's only one highway, just the Trans-African Highway. All other roads within Ambazonia are open and passable. That's the first clarity I wanted to provide. There is a report that came out today, that came out last night from Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch has sent out a report to inform the international community and to inform the people of Cameroon and to inform Ambazonians of certain things we've told them before. Ambazonians want to be free. I'm just being very careful in my choice of words, and that's why I pause for a minute. Ambazonians want to be free. All Ambazonians, our people, want to be free. And so when this new phase of the liberation started, Cameroun wants to make sure Ambazonia is not free. Ambazonia wants to be free. Cameroun wants to make sure Ambazonia is not free. Once the uprising started again in 2016, what the Cameroon government did was to quickly select people that appears to be moderate to put them at the forefront. Agbobala was not at the forefront when the uprising began in 2017. Cameroon quickly placed Agbobala and made him to become the president of the consortium. Yeah? You have to keep these things in mind. Cameroon quickly used Bala to not push the envelope too far in terms of the demands that could be made. That's the first thing. Once that phase was over and the armed resistance started by Dr. Choluka Sayaba and Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga, the Cameroon government understood that it may lose control of the trajectory and the direction of the liberation struggle. So they really wanted to undermine the efforts of the nationalist movements that were gaining traction, that the population now started to align with them. The voice of Dr. Choayaba and the voice of Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga made a lot of sense to Ambazonia to pick up arms. And so in terms of the voices of the moderate, the Agbobala, the Tassang, the Fontaine-Neba, were no longer attractive and appealing to most Ambazonians. So what Cameroon quickly did was to recalibrate and create new voices that will appear to be moderate in nature. That's why they quickly infiltrated the consortium that was amalgamation of nationalist movement and civil society organizations. They quickly infiltrated consortium, directed the actions of consortium, and used the consortium, created SCACUF. From SCACUF, infiltrated SCACUF, took over SCACUF, redirected SCACUF, converted it into the governing council in order to minimize and undermine the nationalist aspirations of the people of Ambazonia. Through all these manipulative and infiltration strategies, they end up creating what they call the government, called the IG. Cameroon's involvement through its middlemen, through its CPDM elites, through its SDF influence, led to the creation of the IG to undermine Ambazonian nationalist aspiration that was being championed by Dr. Choluka Sayaba and Ebenezer Akwanga. Cameroon understood that the Dr. Chos Ayaba present within SCACUF, the Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga presence within SCACUF will change and transform the moderates to adopt a nationalist posture. That's why they quickly created a government so that it becomes the super organization that superimposes itself in the liberation struggle. These are facts all of you need to understand, you need to know, and you need to remember, because that will help to give you an insight or an understanding of what is going on today with some of the movements. All right? That's the basis of that. The report sent out by Human Rights Watch to inform the international community of what is coming should be very disturbing to Ambazonians. It's a warning call. It's an alarm for some of you to take very seriously. And that's why I'm bringing this information to all of you. We do not like to meddle in the affairs of other movements. What we do is to protect the integrity of Ambazonian liberation struggle so that our people's focus, attention, energy, and resources are not diverted to misadventurism. From 2017 till 2018, when Ayoktabe declared himself the president of the IG and was picked up by December 2018 by Cameroun, there is a counter-liberation posture they adopted. And Sako followed that trend. Chris Anu followed that trend. Marianata followed that trend. Tita followed that trend. It has not stopped. It's actually growing. And there's a boomerang and what some of you call backfire. So what is going on with the IG is their misadventurism is being misfired. Let me use those terms that all of us are familiar with. Over the years, the Ayoktabe IG has not been able to give a sense of direction to where they are going, what they want to achieve, what they want to do. They have had a very vague policy. At first, they declared themselves a government of Ambazonia. Then over the years, they have transformed themselves. They don't talk anymore about Ambazonia, and they've shifted positions to call themselves as government of Southern Cameroon. Sako has indeed came out and said, at first he declared himself the president of Ambazonia, then redeclared himself the president of interim government of Ambazonia. Then in 2023, he redeclared himself as the restored president of Southern Cameroons. Keep in mind why they do what they do, and I will explain. It's a very interesting game. Very interesting miscalculation and misadventures that are being played on the Ambazonian people using the liberation struggle. Remember what I told you. Ambazonians want to be free. Cameroon does not want Ambazonia to be free. So Cameroon uses CPDM elites, SDF elites, and Cameroon opposition parties to push certain movements that have not taken a public nationalist stand for Ambazonia, to use them as counterweights to fight against the nationalists, to weaken the voices of the Ambazonian people, to confuse the public, and therefore undermine public participation, public contribution, and public funding of the resistance struggle. These are facts all of you must know. So what has happened to the Ayoktabe's IG? About when Kamto was incarcerated in 2022, one of the reasons Kamto went to jail was to form a political alliance, an agreement with Ayoktabe. That was the primary reason they sent him to jail. Unfortunately, when Kamto came out, he's made a statement that his biggest regret was not being able to persuade Ayoktabe enough to reach a consensus and have an agreement on what the way forward should be. But Kamto never stopped there. Once Kamto came out, because he was under house arrest, he couldn't carry out some of these political activities. Nichu, one of the members of parliament in MRC, became the contact person between Ayoktabe and MRC. And over the last few months, we've had all intelligence, all the reports of the meetings that have been taking place in Kondengi. And the leader has also made a public statement alluding to this, that he actually gave some that came to him and asked if they should meet with Nichu. And he said, look, if Nichu wants to meet with leaders in prison, obviously he has no objection to that. The only thing he remind all of them is that they should adopt a nationalist stand. Dr. Cho has made a public, I think a short public statement with regards to this. So what has ended up happening over the last few months and few weeks is that all the Ayok IG faction and their activists, including SCAF, including Yerima, their vice president, including some of their other groups, including the consortium, including SCNC, they have all had meetings, official meetings and consultation with MRC, with Nichu, Jean-Michel Nichu. And what is the goal of all these meetings? First, Ayoktabe came in when a liberation struggle and armed resistance. They never built a force. They raised a lot of money. Nobody knows where and how they used the money. Sako came in. They raised money in the name of Ambazonia, in the name of army fighters. That money never went to the ground. Cameroun does not want them. This SDF, what do they call it? The SDF elites, the CPDM elites do not want them to put arms on the ground. If they put arms on the ground, they will not be able to have control over those arms. So they do not want them to put arms on the ground. So that's why Ayoktabe never invested in arms. Sako never invested in arms. All the money were used instead to take forces, these nationalist forces, ADF, Sokadev, and the Tigers, is to buy them and bring them under their control. All right? That's what they did in the past. So where are we? We are where we are today. The Ayoktabe's IG, a report by Human Rights Watch, have now clearly stated that meetings have been taking place between Ayoktabe and Jean-Michel Nichu and the people of MRC to prepare the groundwork for what they call political transition in Cameroun. And Dr. Cho has explained to all of you that, oh, this is the president, the leader said this is normal, political movement look for where they can find some leverage and some meaning and try to carve their own path. That's great. But what is it for Ambazonia? That's the question you have to ask. What is forming a political alliance with Maurice Kamto? What is it for Ambazonia? Forming a political alliance with Nichu and having meetings with Nichu at the highest political level. What is it for Ambazonia? Okay? What is it for Ambazonia? That's what you need to ask. So the question is, according to human rights, very interesting, these things are no longer working. They are no longer active. So whatever their intentions were, whatever their intentions are, Atanganji has put a complete stop to all of that. And that is the miscalculation. whatever alliance, whatever benefits, whatever political transition they wanted to prepare themselves, get themselves involved through opposition parties in Cameroon that are inconsequential. Whatever those alliances are, Atanganji has dissolved them, had made them to be illegal, and has banned those alliances. That's according to a report that came out last night from Human Rights Watch. Second, Mr. Atanganji, the Cameroon Minister of Territorial Administration, has also put out a press release, a communique, to state these facts. So all of you know my credibility and my integrity. I like to speak based on facts and not fiction. That's a press release signed by Mr. Atanganji Paul. He's been on CRTV and their media outlets to warn and inform Camerooners and the international community that the Biya's government will not tolerate any political gimmicks within the Cameroon political space. The Biya government will not tolerate any political experiment within Cameroon political space. And that's the miscalculation of Ayub Tabe. And that's the miscalculation of Yerima, the miscalculation of the Mark Barretta, the Sikot. That's the miscalculation of all these Ambazonian activists that have never taken a stand for Ambazonia. That's their miscalculation. They were counting and hoping that somehow, some way, there will be a crack within Cameroon and they will be able to realign themselves and reassert themselves for whatever political transition. Atanganji has sent a powerful message to all of them. And that is the miscalculation. But how can people be so, be so political short-sighted? That's the question you have to ask yourself. They don't understand Paul Biya. They don't understand the CPDM party. They've not taken the time to study how they work. Where do you go from here? You all saw the last presidential election. What informs you that the next one will be different when the same system is still in place? When all the key actors and instruments are still intact and they have been entrenched? How can you go so low? You take a powerful movement, a man that commands such authority, you allow yourself to be infiltrated, to be taken over, to be diverted, and to be sent to such directions? So politically premature. How do you redeem yourself? What do you have to explain to the Ambazonian people? You call for declaration of independence. You ask thousands and millions of our people to go to take to the streets. Is this where you end up? How do you justify that? Who's supposed to be begging who? So how do you recover? How do they recover? It's a shame. It's such a shame for people to fall in these cheap political traps, to reduce themselves to this level. People that our people looked up to. Some died for them. Hundreds, if not thousands, died because of them. Look at where they've ended up politically. Look at where they have ended up politically. A simple decision, a communique. If these things were not public, and I told you this, you would have accused me of making it up, right? Even when we have such deep insights to these things and we explain to most of you, you don't buy into it. You said, you guys are just lying because you don't like them. We want everybody to succeed. I want Ambazonia to be free as quickly as possible. But we get irritated and frustrated when people take such low-level actions that have damaging consequences on the reputation of our liberation struggle. What do you tell the international community? How do you go from restoring independence proclaiming restoration of independence? 7 years later, an opposition party that is not even in power and has zero potential to be in power, you want to go from a political transition with them? Or you want to prepare the grounds for political transition? So what happened there? What happens then to the restoration of independence you declared? And 7 years later, you don't have a force even to fight for your own freedom, even to use it as a bargaining chip to gain the freedom of the Naira 10. If they were wise with all the money they had, they would have put enough forces in the state of Manu and use it as a bargaining chip for the release of Ayokabe and the Naira 10. But it's not for me to give them political advice because they don't pay me. All right. Enough said on that. All right. All the meetings have been confirmed by, all sort of organizations. Atanganji has confirmed these meetings. Human Rights Watch have confirmed these meetings. The meetings have taken place. So the IG has diverted its attention now to political transition in Cameroun. All right. So where are we? Where's Ambazonia? That's the question you want to ask. And where is La République? Now let me take you to what's about to happen in Cameroun. The CPDM government is not ready for any form of change. The CPDM government is preparing and planning for post-Biya's governance. The CPDM wants to maintain power by all cost and by every means necessary. Mr. Tanganji has been given enormous power by the Biya regime as the Minister of Territorial Administration to do whatever it takes. And remember, Mr. Biya takes no prisoners. All right? He takes no prisoners. It's total destruction, annihilation, or destruction, annihilation, and just they take you out. Atanganji has begun the process of cracking down on all opposition parties and any political alliances in Cameroon. They are bent on maintaining power within the CPDM structures. So there are 4 centers, there are 4 centers of power in Cameroon. There is the Diongute Atanganji Paul center of power. Then you have the Ngongo Chantal Biya. Ngongo has the backing of Madame Chantal Biya. She's actually now the active president of La République du Cameroun. Mrs. Biya is the active president running Cameroon behind the scenes. So you have the Paul Biya, Diongute, and Atanganji axis. Then you have the Chantal Biya Ngongo axis. Then you have the War Hawks. You have the Rene Sadi axis. Which of these axes will win? You also have the MRC and Brigade Anti-Sardinat opposition axis. That also include the Edith Kawala and all of those. But all of those are inconsequential. All right? The international community is not going to do anything to anybody in Cameroon. The only thing they can impose is maybe just some human rights conditions, release prisoners, don't crack on political opposition party, but Cameroon doesn't care about those things. And all of us should be aware that Cameroon doesn't really give a crap about these international norms, principles, or values. Cameroon does not care. All right? They are interested in power. And that's what counts in Cameroon. So the CPDM regime would do everything humanly possible to eliminate any opposition. And to probably, my guess is people like Maurice Kamto, people like probably Nichu may actually end up in prison, because you can see some of the steps Atanganji is already taking. And so once they start to take certain steps, you can see exactly where they are going. And so from our understanding, me talking to consulting with some political experts, even experts within Cameroon in terms of understanding, and they've also all agreed that from the way things are going, people like Jean-Michel Nichu will probably end up in jail, all right, just to silence them. And so we all can see where things are going. So if there is anyone out here who is thinking that they will have a smooth political transition within Cameroon, and therefore they can be able to have some understanding with some political figures in Cameroon, remember what they did to SDF. Remember what they did to Frundi. They capture the love of the Ambazonian people, all right, using SDF. Once they had SDF, they stole the presidential election from Frundi, bought Frundi over, gave SDF some political seats for a few years. What happens afterwards? How did Frundi end up? What is SDF today? It's lost its voice. It has no seats. Mr. Biya determines whether SDF survives or it doesn't. Mr. Biya appoints, just to give a semblance of existence of opposition parties, he appoints some members of SDF within the assembly and within the Senate. And as probably most of you witnessed this in the last municipal and parliamentary election. You know, They actually banned the SDF from competing across the Atlantic states, and they've also banned them from competing within the Savannah states. So the SDF was forced to only compete in certain parts of La République du Cameroun. How is that outcome? How is that outcome? How has that worked out? So when you look at the calculation of some of these Ambazonian wannabe presidents, their reason is, okay, if we collaborate because they believe that you're not going to have independence. That's number one. Based on their actions, their utterances, their behaviors, and their approaches, they believe that they're not going to succeed in independence, so they might as well cut short deals with some opposition parties so that they can have some influence in whatever happened post-Biya. That did not work well for them, as they have all confessed. Frundi gave them a lot of money to use that money to bribe fighters, put a few fighters on the ground for the purpose to fight the nationalist forces. That's all it is. It's not to fight for independence. Because they believe within the current structure of power in Cameroon, the SDF still have some form of control, and they wanted to maintain whatever control they do have. They have gained their power through the CPDM. Why should they lose that power? So cutting deal with SDF has not worked well for their yoke IG. Making deals with the SDF and using people like Mbandam has not worked well for Sako. Has politically crushed them, humiliated them, weakened them politically, discredited them. So a good leader must surround he or herself with people that have insight, that have experience on some of these things, so that these leaders are not manipulated to these political misadventures that end up destroying them. I feel so bad for this man. I feel so bad for them. I really do. They could have used their popularity to make significant progress with the Ambazonian people. But that's what happens when people allow themselves, and movement allow themselves to be infiltrated and be taken over by the regime. That's the price leaders will pay when they don't have a well-known political agenda, when they operate in just vague language and masking themselves in Ambazonia versus Southern Cameroons, or using them interchangeably without a sense of direction. How can the public trust you when they don't even know where you're going? And 7 years, you have no clarity of your sense of direction, what you stand for, and what you're fighting for. And that's what has happened to all these splinters. For you, the nationalist, nothing can derail you. For you, the forces on the ground, the strategy has worked. Their short-term strategies have failed. Their short-term ambitions have failed. The short-term thinking has failed. The short-term quest for power has failed. Ground zero is standing strong. The resistance is at the best as it's ever been. The forces are more powerful, they are more equipped, They are more experienced. They are more determined. They are stronger. They have more capacity. They have more resources today than any time before. This is what wisdom is all about. This is what leadership is all about. Our focus on La République and our focus on arming the ground, our focus on mobilizing the forces and our population, those things have worked. And La République is feeling the effect. Ground Zero is winning. The forces are winning. The Ambazonia Governing Council is on top of the game. Stronger, better, more popular, more resourced than any time before. That is the difference between short-term thinkers and long-term thinkers. That is the difference between people that are wishy-washy, flip-floppers, and a nationalist leader with a clear sense of direction, with a sense of consistency. Consistency in character, consistency in public posture, consistency in fighting the enemy, consistency in inspiring the population, consistency in messaging, consistency in policy. 7 years of consistency. 7 years of speaking the same language. 7 years of taking the same direction. 7 years of insistence. 7 years on defending the rights of our people and defending all forces on the ground. That's the difference. Cameroun is collapsing today. It is because of you. Our mothers on the ground, our sisters on the ground, our children, the sacrifices of our parents and our families, the contribution of our forces. Fellow Ambazonians, for the last 7 years, for all we don't see, the international community, the only thing where it make you be accepted, you belong, and you get a voice for the international community in a power. If you not get power, you not get voice for the international community. You not get a space for the international community. And you not get a place for the international community. Now power, they give a people them a place, it give them space, it give them a seat, and it give them voice for the international community. When this liberation struggle will start for 2017, when it start again for this new age, for this new stage, for 2016, the Ambazonian people, the waiting that they asked for, Cameroun not be ready for game. Because Cameroun, the power we want from Ambazonia, now the power for you for control we, dictate on us, and make we their slaves. They not want to lose that power where they be masters on the slave population, on the occupied people. So what they quickly do, once they notice and say this thing don't start, they be need for push people them for front. When those people now Cameroun will use them for make the deals, for crush the resistance. Agbobala no be there for front at that time. They quickly push it for front and they can make it the president of consortium. Okay? When I need to know these things, they can make Fontaine the Secretary General. Because Cameroun see them through their behaviors, through their own action, as moderates. The people where Cameroun feel use them for stop all which they call and say the uprising for the demand for the right of Ambazonia education system and the right for Ambazonian people, their legal system. Because if you give them their right for their own education system. You give them their right for their own legal system. Then wait till Cameroon get control over. Nothing. So Cameroon understand these things. Cameroon no want to leave Ambazonia. Cameroon not be ready for relinquish any power to the occupied people then. Cameroon bring Bala for front. What they do, Bala? They not finish the negotiations. They stop the negotiations. Take the same Bala, put them for jail. Take Fontaine, put them for jail. Take Justice Aya Paul, put them for jail. For killing. Okay? So they put you for front, now for use you for kill. You need to put you for front, now because they want to use you for really talk honestly and negotiate as modern people that they do. So when people they rise up, the political leaders they come together, they negotiate and then they find a compromise solution. Cameroon not be ready for make a compromise solution. Cameroon not be a state where it believe for compromise. They believe that for dominance. Study their history even before their own independence and after their own independence. And since 1961, when they occupied Ambazonia, study the history. They are not a compromising culture. Now a culture based on dominance and elimination. They use corruption, they use bribery, they use threat. And then eventually, if you don't accept what they want them, they eliminate you. And so Cameroon they operate. So they use Bala, use Fontaine for try to push for negotiations. And then they finally cut off the negotiations, take Bala and Fontaine, put them for jail, take Justice, put them for jail. Once they realize and say, with those actions, it not stop the liberation struggle. It actually inflamed the liberation struggle. That's and run and carry the liberation to the diaspora. Save the liberation struggle from that grassroots social protest. It saved the liberation and can go for diaspora. They can create now what they call and say the consortium. SCACUF. SCACUF, it will be now a platform where it bring the civil society organization them. That means say lawyers, teachers, and the trade unions and for ground zero. It bring them with the nationalist movements. The Ambazonia Governing Council and the African People Liberation Movement. It bring all them together. They start to push for a nationalist agenda. Paul Biya quickly realized and say, if these nationalists, Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga and Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, they inside these other moderates, the nationalists, they go change the mentality of the moderates, and the moderates, they go adopt a hardline position. What Cameroon do, it quickly infiltrate that collaborative platform where they call it SCACUF. It hijack them, it changed its direction, it changed its name. They move them from SCACUF and they transform them into what they call and say the governing council. The governing council be the exist. The governing council of Dr. Cho be the exist. And we gain power and voice. Cameroon get for create another governing council now where now it go be the big governing council where it go make the one for Dr. Cho. It go be the small governing council. No man go know about Dr. Cho. That means for confuse the Ambazonian people then and confuse the international community. So the Cameroon government it infiltrates SCACUF. It using CPDM elites, SDF elites, and the Cameroon government intelligence services. They infiltrate SCACUF, they take SCACUF, they transform it into the governing council, and then they use that governing council now, they create this way that they call and say government. IG. Remember, Ambazonians want independence. Cameroon, it no one make Ambazonia gain independence. So Cameroon, it go now for capture this movement, infiltrate this movement, and direct the actions, the activities, and the policies of this movement so that Ambazonia not gain independence. They do them with Jongo Foncha and all the other Ambazonian leaders since after that one. They infiltrate, influence the policies of what leaders for 1961 and dictate the terms of which those leaders will accept them. So what you go make una think say they say Cameroon, it go leave them, you create your movement, and then you can infiltrate them for take them over for direct which side that movement go and which kind of policy they make them. So once they do these things and they create this thing where they call it the IG, Cameroon understand Dr. Ayabacho is preaching of the armed resistance. It be done the gain traction. More and more Ambazonians, the staff of belief say it make a lot of sense. We know if you just continue for protest, we know if you just continue for talk, say, oh, you know, we'll get our rights, it will be in our territory, the history there for our side. We know if we just continue to use logic and persuasion. If not logic and persuasion will give you independence, how come we never give you independence since 1954? How come all the other Ambazonian leaders, they don't come after the leaders for 1954, right up until now, including Frundi and the SDF? How come Cameroon used them and it destroyed Ambazonia? Why therefore be any different now? So Dr. Cho continues to tell the Ambazonian people, say, we not feel continue to do the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. That means that the courage will be Chris man. Now only Chris man will walk forward and then he come back and then he go forward and then he come back and then he go forward and then he come back and then he thinks it make progress. He no say for the same place. So Dr. Cho talks say we must do what other people they don't do for free themselves. We must embrace self-defense. So once they talked on self-defense and the way we start to explain them and the way Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga start to explain, it make a lot of sense to Ambazonians. Ambazonians they start to follow Dr. Cho and they start to embrace the ideology of self-defense. Which is Dr. Cho be the talk, which is Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga. They start to embrace them. Ground Zero start to embrace them. Then the one see Dr. Cho come out. Some people they can't leak a video of Dr. Cho we go for daddy. They don't know say it not be just the talk. They don't know say it will already recruit 7,000 Ambazonians and put them for the forest of Ambazonia, for the land of Buki, for Manu, for training. No man no say what people they be already start for enter for bush, for start for train and for prepare. Because they want to train all these people then and then surprise the colonial military and the colonial gendarmes. They want to train all these 7,000 Ambazonians, train them well, and then they give them all the map for place where gendarme be there, place where police station be there, place where army camp they be there, place where all the Cameroon treasury be there, place where all DO's offices be there. When they be train them all, they for now take all the map for every town and then they send these forces for different places for Ambazonia and then they go enter all the one time and then they launch this massive attack on the occupation institutions then and then take them out by surprise. Now Dr. Cho he planned this. When that video can come out, the Cameroon government can vex. Say, huh? Now what did it go on that? That means they not been only talk. They quickly rush. They rush. We must stop them. We must make them. They know say if Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, a voice, a program, a preaching, a take over Ambazonia, there is no way Cameroon will ever regain the territory of Ambazonia. So there be need for counter by creating an alternative movement. So that's how they create the IG as a counter to the nationalist aspiration of the Ambazonian people. I need to talk this thing because I get any dislike for any person. I give you all this thing for to understand how the international system will work. I give you all this thing for to understand how the international system will work and how Cameroon they operate. While liberation struggle not be any different from any other political liberation struggle where people they fight for liberate themselves. The occupier must create a counter to the nationalist movements. And they must give that counter them, use all kinds of network for support those counters. Alright? So now get to understand. Now so things that work. Once they create the IG, they make sure say the IG it get a TV. Number one, the IG must get a TV. So that the IG go speak now. And the other one they no go get penetration on the ground. So their own noise, their own loud, their own programs, their own things, and they no go too far. The first thing when I create TV, so that when I control the narrative and when I control the population, when I understand all these things. And the second thing, when I not put guns on the ground, if when I put guns on the ground, when I not go fit control those guns, we not want guns on the ground. Make we find a way where we fit only talk for una and get a negotiation with una. Now they deal that. That's why by 2018, by December 2018, the Cameroun government lied for Ayok Tabe, where it be already there for United States, and from all, well, some of we will even be within their structures and for try to help them at that time for those structures, may they actually become good structures. For all who will be there inside, at that time, they be already do paperwork for Ayok Tabe for apply for political asylum for the United States. So Ayok not be get any intention for go back to Nigeria. But they get for put a stop to it because Mr. Biya quickly sent the intelligence services made a call for an urgent negotiation between the Ayok Tabe IG and the Cameroun government for Nigeria. So the Ayok rally all lieutenants and Ayok fly back to Nigeria. He end up a place where he end up. That's the power of intelligence. And that's how regime that work. For crush political opponents and for crush resistance. I give una this information for una for understand how the systems across the globe they work. It not be specific to Cameroun and it not be specific to Mr. Biya. That's so system that work. Now the same system, the Israelis, they don't use them for divide the Palestinian people then between the Palestinian Liberation Authority and Hamas. They create a division between them so that one side could be governed by another one side could be governed by another one. And according to all international experts, including Professor John Mearsheimer, one of my top political consultants across the globe, and as somebody where I will bring you here, we don't invite you, like political scientist for the University of Chicago, and we will invite you, he can talk for all when I here for ACN. He don't talk. Hamas be funded partly by the Israeli government for create a divide between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority for divide the Palestinian people there. All right. So these things that happen across the globe, it not be specific to Ambazonia. And so for the CPDM elites and the SDF elites for use, which is they call and say moderates for push things to a specific direction, it not be specific to Ambazonia. I'm gonna not take them very personal. All right, and just how politics do work. When you don't get a strong position of what you really stand for, they will always use you for what you be the one time. Anyway, all right. So I hope say it give una an understanding and really for make una know, because for some of una when una listen for this kind of information, it give una almost like a high blood pressure. You don't need to forget high blood pressure. I go for you not for give you an understanding. I go for you for paint you a better picture of how systems that they operate, so that you understand, so that you feel understand how manipulation they take place. Because manipulation they happen for your nose, but for most of una not see them. You got to understand how state manipulation they take place. All right, political manipulation they take place. It happen on a daily basis, and you must get the knowledge, the experience, the insight, and the wisdom for detect that manipulation. Because if not, they go manipulate you and you go back to the same place. They don't manipulate phone charts. They manipulate them from 1954 right up until now. So that Cameroon maintain a dominant power of occupation for Ambazonia. I don't care who you like them. Who you like them, not be an independence. Truth, facts, evidence, empirical evidence will help you get out of any attachment to whosoever. If waiting at the talk, if waiting at the do, if you test them, you measure them, you realize and say, no lie, stop listening to me. Go measure what you at the talk, go research what you at the talk, go find out what you at the talk. If what you at the talk no lie, stop listening to me. Alright, stop listening to me. That's the honest truth. If you did listen, that because it makes sense, and I talk true, and I stand here for defend the truth on behalf of our people then, because place where I come out, place where you come out, every Ambazonia picking the suffer. Right? Some of our picking they never go to school for 7 years. Right? So imagine if that picking then they be born that picking when this liberation struggle start with that picking the 5 years. 7 years later that picking never go to school. How old that picking they now? So that's why I need to take this thing as play. Because I know the consequences on our population if we not do the right thing. We get 750,000 people a day for bush. We mommy them, we papa them, we brothers, we sisters, some of our big papa them, some of our big mommy them. There are Ambazonian children where they born them now inside bush. That picking they never even know what village, how village look like. That picking they don't know how town look like. They don't know how light look like. What is the consequences on those children's life? We get, according to estimate, what, 300,000-400,000 Ambazonians? Would they be refugees? Be scattered mostly for Nigeria and across West and Central Africa. And some don't go so for Northern Africa. They suffer, some they die for desert. What is the consequences to their lives? The passion will get them. And because on a daily basis, we don't want more people they suffer. We want so that if we fit stop this political manipulation of Ambazonians, we will fit push this liberation struggle faster. Now the essence and the reason this will get this discussion. So I beg, take them easy with yourself and take them easy with everybody else. Get the understanding and get the clarity. Get the education. If you care about the suffering of our people, you no go tolerate any political manipulation. If you care about one mammy the way that they die, because they no fit get access to hospital, you no go tolerate any political manipulation. If you get any love for our people where they don't stay for refugee camps for 7 years, while young girls where they live on prostitution, you no go tolerate any political manipulation on the Ambazonian people then. What about the one where they did for jail? You get how many thousands of Ambazonians? They staff in jail, sick in jail, suffer in jail, live in trauma, live in torture, die in jail. You care about them? If you care about those people, you no go accept any political manipulation on the Ambazonian people. That's why they get this conversation with you. You must understand the political manipulation. And some of these leaders, they surround themselves with people that way. They not even feel for see these things, they happen. And so they fall for this trap. What it happen for Naira 10 or with the group of Naira 10? That's something where it will be preventable because you feel see them. It will be preventable. We not fit prevent everything, but there are so many things we fit prevent them. There are so many things I don't prevent them on my own life. There are so many things we don't prevent them within the Ambazonia Governing Council. Including Kapo's Daniel planned assassination of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. We prevent them because we'll be seeing in advance coming. When the deals have already start for being made, and if we don't reach to the point where Cameroun they put pressure for you, for go Norway, for something where they be already the organizer, and if they insist, make they send naive, we will already see the red flags. When negotiations will be go on, and the Cameroun government, it be the plan. When the Canada talks will go on and we don't reach this comprehensive agreement, and it will be say the United Nations it will sponsor the ceasefire, the implementation of the ceasefire agreement will be part of the confidence building for during the Canada talks. And they will need people there from the ADF leadership for go for Norway for attend the UN training. And Cameroon people then will come out Cameroon can attend that training so that they understand how they implement a ceasefire agreement. We already see what is supposed to happen. Because Nafule they want to assassinate Capo Dan is supposed to kill Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. We prevent them. So I tell you all these things with years of experience. And so we're going to take them very seriously. A lot of the soldiers where they just kill them anyhow for most camps are things that they be preventable. Over the last 2 weeks, a lot of the commanders where they be reach out now and with the kind of advice where they give them. When I know how happy they be, the kind of education where they give them. When I know how happy they be left in the dark. And most of these forces, because the ADF forces them, they get a hierarchy, they get a leadership, they get a command and control, they get a central command, they receive constant education, and they get an intelligence network across the globe and across the territory and across La Republique. So if we detect things them in advance and we know exactly what it need for be done on the ground for prevent enemies' incursions. And to a greater extent, will it succeed? That's why most don't crumble. If you look for all the 9 states where the ADF still exist, they still be intact and stronger for all the 9 states. The only force through one direct central command, one political leadership, it exists for 9 states. 9 states out of the 13 states in Ambazonia. That's a lot of power and control. And all these forces, they maintain cohesion, unity, and a sense of purpose. It be central to the victory of Ambazonia. That's why they tell me these things. None of these 5 IG groups, they don't recruit, train, arm, and put forces on the ground because the occupier no want them. Not be that because they be incapable of doing it. Now a condition the occupier no want them. So that's why their focus now for control the existing forces. Now for take over the existing forces and control them. When I hear me fine. The occupier for end the liberation of Ambazonia's liberation and their freedom and quest for independence. A goal now for dismantle the forces on the ground. Without the armed resistance, there's no such thing as Ambazonia struggle. Without the forces on the ground, there is no such thing as Ambazonia liberation struggle. That's why since 2017, the attempt by all these movements infiltrated and taken over and directed and controlled by Cameroon, their goal now for take over those forces on the ground. And when I see the effects when Sako come in and he used a little bit of that my trip to Boyamoni, when I see the effects, their goal now for take over those forces on the ground, destroy them. Okay? The killing of ADF forces, not because they just hate the ADF. Yes, La Republique hate the ADF because they're a nationalist force. But the killing of ADF forces, the attack on ADF every day, ADF, now because now a nationalist force with the sole agenda for the freedom and liberation of Ambazonia, period. La Republique no want that. Every other force, you fit twist it, you change it, you direct it, you redirect it. But for ADF, it nothing happen. Because the DNA of ADF now for end Cameroon occupation. For any other group for ground, you fit call them tomorrow and you talk say this. Now all that, it end for them. You know if you do on ADF. Even Dr. Cho know if you do on ADF. Make Dr. Cho go back today, go tell ADF, oh, now this. Now that same ADF go come up for outside. He tell Dr. Cho say, no be na waiting Ambazonia stand for that. That's why, even during the Canada talks, the leader therefore go for ADF. Go consult, bring all the ADF commanders together and get a discussion with all them. Before Canada talks, when the international community don't come for the Ambazonia Governing Council, say, look, we want to make you help we for bring Ambazonians together. Because not only you feed one, not only you get that kind of power for bring one of people on the ground and one of people for diaspora together, Cameroon want talk. And we say, when I show say they be serious, they say, yeah, we think so. The Canada come and said, they want talk. We say, when I show say they be serious, we not trust that people them. They do not use and dumb. No, Canada say no, they really be serious. They don't fit play that nonsense away. The gov say, okay, if Cameroon be serious, make Cameroon put them in writing. Send them for you and you bring them for we. The moment they do them, Cameroon do them, sign them, Canada come, they call for a meeting. The gov say, she don't. They say, yes, we'll be serious and one make you bring your people them together. Before the leader, he called other Ambazonian leaders and made a meetup for London for discuss their working together for negotiate for Ambazonia. He get for go through General Efan, talk for General Efan first, explain for General Efan. General Efan get for call a meeting of all ADF commanders for the 9 states, for all the barracks, and get a meeting with them for agree for give the leader the power to go negotiate on behalf of Ambazonia. So Dr. Cho not just come out, he said because he be the president of AGOVC, he not just come out, talk say he want go negotiate, he want go bring the other political leaders together, and then they go negotiate with on behalf of Ambazonia without consultation with the forces on the ground. General Efan for bring all ADF commanders and bring all the sister forces, the nationalist forces together and get that discussion before they give Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba the consent, the permission for you to negotiate on behalf of the Amazonian people. That's how powerful this leadership is. So when I fit understand why would it tell when I say if you don't get a structure on the ground under your name, under your movement, the international community need to take you seriously. Okay? So If una see what is Sako do am, within a few months, all we fit testify, the kids 681 ARF forces, wipe all them out. Because they gather them, tell them say they be community police, they be custom, they be this, they gather all them without arms, they put them, may they take over, may they go shit down for schools, and then begin to do community policing. What will happen? They wipe all them out. It will be a deliberate strategy for slowly wipe out the forces on the ground, for end the armed resistance, and then for these people them, for go shidon, for which they call and say Swiss talks, and it end for them. And as all we know, for the Swiss talks, what will be the agenda? Decentralization. With the creation of regional parliament for Boya, or regional assembly for Boya, and regional assembly for Bamenda. So you there, you know, be even the know what they go on. You know, be know the political manipulation will be the go on. You know, be no say they take this money where they be raise them now for bribe those forces them, and that's why you be get this ferocious attack on ADF from left and right. That's why they kill Ivo. That's why they don't leave and make F and get rest. The noise we hear every day about the ADF. Now because of what the ADF stand for. If you twist any fighter for down their head, like when I don't see what don't happen for Manu. They don't twist all their head them. Take them over. That they now when I see what they happen for Manu. So when these forces they be vulnerable to political manipulation, we must protect them. That's why we get this education. The goal of some of this movement, if for 7 years they know what it work, they know what it go give you independence, they know what it go give you freedom. Why you think say they no one do one? The occupier no one make the do one. The networks of the occupier, the middlemen of the occupier, where he create them and he fund them and he support them and he give them the voice, he no one make the do one. If they start for do one, they will bring them down. A perfect example what I give you now. It reached by 2019, if not 2020. Dr. Cho come for Canada. And all when I see him, who publicize them, big hall, Ambazonia, they will be so enthusiastic, so passionate for listening to this man. Thousands of Ambazonians, hundreds of Ambazonia, they feel the hall. And this passionate man, charismatic, intelligent, he moved the spirit, the souls of Ambazonians for Canada. Once we put out those powerful images in a packed hall with the Ambazonian flag, the Canada flag, and we announce the money where the leader raise them for day. Once we put those images out, that very Monday with Dr. Cho come out Canada. Dr. Cho come on Friday. For Saturday, we will get the town hall and he address the Ambazonian people and sell the vision of the Hague of Sea and the policy of armed resistance and internationalization and diplomacy. Once Cameroun see how the Hague of Sea don't really make gains internationally and the Ambazonians they don't like the philosophy of Dr. Cho. Dr. Cho come on Friday, we'll get a town hall on Saturday. On Sunday, he meet up community leaders, he meet up cultural organizations, and he meet up people that they can't see privately. And then on Monday, he fly out. That same Monday evening, they call Sako. You must go back for that Canada. You go undo what is Dr. Cho don't do. So all what is Dr. Cho don't talk, the popularity we don't get them, you must go there and you go change the narrative. Dr. Cho live on Monday. Sako call Monday night. Say they come Canada on Friday. Sako, what you want can do for Canada on Friday? Dr. Cho just come up for here today. Now today, Monday, Dr. Cho come off here. You did come on Friday, can't do it. Sako say no. It gets something will be so urgent, so important. It need for come for Canada. The leaders they say Sako. The community just spend a lot of money, a lot of time. People they take time off for host this kind of leader. The community not be ready. Come next month. Sako say no. I must come. That Friday I must come. So until they will be urgent, I must tell the people that for Canada. Community live and say, okay, Sako, we not get money for host you. We not go give you the kind of treatment where you want them. Sako say I go still come. I get my own money. One see Friday evening, Sako come. Me, Lucas Asu, I be one of the 6 Ambazonians where they go receive Sako. Remember, I be one of the few Ambazonians who will go receive Dr. Cho and host it. And he get a successful event. The population will be very happy with his message and inspiration. Sako come, we go receive it. We host Sako. Saturday, we call town hall. How many people they be there? We take in a smaller hall. The few people there they come. A few people they come. So when time don't reach where Sako supposed to for stand up and sell his own ideology, his own vision. Sako stand it talk say he not fit tell we his own strategy because his strategy be classified. Una di hear? Dr. Cho come, he explained the whole strategy and how things they will work on the ground and how they will work for diplomacy and how the fighting on the ground it be attached to diplomacy and what we get for doing diplomatically for we for gain recognition and become international contender and then eventually start for gain recognition and then we go win through negotiation. Dr. Cho lay out the plan. Sako come, they ask his Sako, so what will be your own plan? Sako say his own plan be classified. Manipulation. The only reason Dr. Cho don't come, the nationalist ideology don't gain traction. They therefore can weaken that nationalist ideology and counter them. That's why they quickly send make it come back to Canada. I've given out all this insight for understand how the game they be played on the Ambazonian people. I don't live through it. I don't work with every single leader. And I don't be involved with every single movement. The only movement who I never be part, the only movement I never walk, I never talk with Marianata, and I never help Marianata because I just say I'm bullshit. I never be involved with the Chris Ano IG, and I never talk with Chris Ano as an IG because I just say I'm bullshit. When I come in, I be a supportee as an Ambazonian. I provide a lot of services and guidance to them. I be part of their constitutional draft. All right. When Dr. Cho emerge and I see the honesty and authenticity of what he stand for, when I know say from that time I don't give my unconditional support and educate the Ambazonian people for align with a vision since 2017. When Sako came in for 2019 and they launched my trip to Biya. At that time, just like all of us, I don't get too much information. I promote my trip to Biya. I give money for my trip to Biya. I encourage Ambazonians, may they participate for my trip to Biya. Sako come here, I be there, I host it, I do a public interview for Canada here with Sako. And eventually, I come back, I can't tell you the bullshit. I tell you, I said a lie. Because there is nothing in what he was saying. Nothing. Even one-on-one. Because Abibi, Sako be call me for give advice. I need to talk for you from an outside perspective. I need to talk for you as a player in the ring. I need to talk for you as an observer. I be the give Sako advice. I write things and send for Sako for waiting you go talk for outside. So understand again. 7 years, the reason where the world need to take any of them serious. Now because the world not even know place where they go. The world don't know place where they stand. And the international community, it need to take any risk on anybody without credibility. When I listen carefully, the international community it be based on international stability for the purpose of international transaction. Period. So, if you want independence and you the advocate for independence, and that international community it look you after 7 years, you talk one thing, you do the next. You talk one thing, you do the opposite. You talk one thing, you do the next. You talk one thing, you do the complete opposite. You talk one thing today, tomorrow you can't talk something else. Your name today, you talk so you be Ambazonia. The next day you go talking about, say you be Southern Cameroons.
But one thing I know, Mefo, is the CDC deal. Dr. Samuel Komesago cannot say it did not exist because I took it to him. I'm going to end it there. But one thing I know, Mefo, is the CDC deal. Dr. Samuel Komesago cannot say it did not exist because I took it to him. I'm going to end it there.
The next day you can't talk about political transition. How you think that international community will take you as a serious actor? You be unpredictable. They not fit count on you. You be unreliable. You not be a reliable, trustworthy political actor. We not pay attention. The world love stability and certainty. So when you come in and you become a political power player without a sense of direction, how people they feel trust your political process? You are a seed for disaster and chaos and manipulation and corruption and bribery and poverty. It is show how easily you be compromised. It is show how easily you feel switch your positions. It is show how easily you feel change like a chameleon. The international community not like them. Because you be unpredictable. Alright? You be unpredictable. You be easily corrupt. So they not accept for come out from one form of corruption and they move to another form of corruption. They not come out move from one uncertainty and they support another set of uncertainty. They not come out move from one set of chaos and instability and they go support another person they never know who he be about, which he stand for immoral principles, liberal economic political doctrine. How they go money support you? So you must build an identity. If you don't take 7 years and you never build a political identity and transparency on your political principles, you be a disaster to the international community. You are not a credible actor. For 7 years, Cameroon, the CPDM colonial elites, they don't take most Ambazonian leaders, they turn them as discredited actors. They reduce them to X. They move them upside down, change the way that they talk, change their philosophy, change all their things. Now Cameroon don't destroy all these movements. Without this movement, they are knowing. Cameroon don't use them, it dump them, they are misadventurism, it don't the misadventure on them. their political expediency, it don't become the thing will destroy them. Internationally, they don't lose all the credibility as credible actors. Even Cameroun not trust them. How do you trust a person where tomorrow you talk one thing, the next day you talk another thing? So how that same Cameroun if he can trust you? Today you did talk with SDF. The next day you did work now with CPDM. The next day you did go now for Cameroun opposition party. How that same Cameroun if he trust you? Are you out of your mind? When I see the trap, now the Cameroun strategy for use and done. They go use you for weakening the ground. They use you for pollute the ground. They use you for cause infighting within the ground. And then they send other actors for use you for so many other different directions. And then they eventually discredit you after you don't finish for use you for do what they're supposed to do. Make we take the case of Mr. Yoktabe, a very respectable, responsible man. When he come in, all Ambazonians, they love him and praise him with his with the soft-spoken nature where he did. They look at as a man where, okay, a man of peace. But through time, a man of peace without substance, a man of peace without a sense of direction, a man of peace where you know no place where he will take you go politically. So a good man, a man will love you, will praise you for a peaceful nature, but as long as there is no political direction for that declaration of independence, you start to lose credibility. As long as there is no clarity of a specific set of actions and principles where that organization be guided by, you start to lose credibility. So over time, waiting that they talk as a government and the way where they act, it not match. They start to lose credibility. They tell you to be a government. A government for what? 7 years later will be government. Government for what? Nothing to show for, nothing to give the people, nothing you feel proven. You start to lose credibility internationally. So now you start to be at the mercy of international justice for them to release you as a political prisoner. Because you don't get any political leverage within the international system. You don't get any political leverage. Paul Biya for don't release Ayoktabe. If the people they will be there around Ayoktabe, they be mobilize themselves, coming from the state of Manu, a state will be near the border, very access to materials, access to anything where they be needed. They be use their influence at that time. They put a structured force for Manu. And they use them as a bargaining chip. They don't move Ayoktabe and the rest for prison for a long time. Mr. Biano for agree, make Ayoktabe the movie, it remain for inside Ambazonia. They for movie, send it for exile. For sure. But it will happen. So, the Canada negotiation, it happened because of these powerful nationalist forces who don't put them on the ground and the pressure who put them on Cameroun, and Cameroun be there at the brink for collapse. The best way Mr. Biya thinks if he save Cameroun, now for him for can negotiate. Because at that time, the United States, Canada, Britain, they be tell Mr. Biya like even Mr. Nagiti, but they tell him, say, look, take this opportunity, get into a political negotiations, get a political compromise solution, and then that one will help you, but it will help you, you do a political transition and you retire in peace and dignity. Biya no one come up for cheer today now because of this matter. That's why they did. It don't hang for a neck. So leaders, they need to sit up. The first one don't lost the international credibility. The second one, it come in the corruption with Sako thief all that money, embezzle and all. It immediately just make up. Even the Swiss, they wash him for Sako back. Even the Swiss, they wash him for Sako back. During that Swiss talks, the Swiss, they talk directly with fighters. They get access to fighters. Move a lot of fighters from the battlefield. Una know so? Una be very careful, Ambazonians. They use them, what's happened with that process? They kill them. They exit out. Lost credibility. Every other thing we want to see and be happen within the Ambazonia political space, that's just a shadow of what it already happened. There is nothing left. When at the year Oxford report, even the Oxford report, it warned about Sako and the infiltration within the IG. It warned Una. And it tell Una, wait if you give Ambazonia independence under Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba a plan. You get the Stanford report. Oxford, it tells Una clearly about the hardline position of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba for standing for Ambazonian people, their rights. That the only thing we feel guarantee their independence. You get Stanford report. You get World Bank report. All the reports for the International Crisis Group, they don't tell Una. That's credibility. You know if you gain more credibility than that. Dr. Cho, the fact say if it, first of all, the command and control under the ADF, that the greatest credibility that. For being able to maintain forces for 9 states under one direct political leadership, one central command. When I know what that one mean, you fit understand what it mean. Now the credibility that, now the stability that with the international community will look for. Now the kind stability that with the international community they look for. That's why all the noise from all angles, the CPDM, SDF, Cameroon opposition party, Cameroon government, all the one the way they don't become their agents, where they don't buy them. That's why they scream for on our head every day, ADF, 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 because they know what it be ADF, and they know what the international community they think about the ADF and the AGOFC. They are screaming about ADF. It no go change what it be ADF. They are screaming about AGOFC. It no go change what it be AGOFC, because AGOFC get an identity. It get a reputation. We don't build them. They are going for try for stain that reputation. They are going for weaken that reputation. They are going for soil that reputation. Now the goal of all these compromise agents, all these community assemblies of the Confucianists, now they are goal that they don't already take them over, they buy them over. I just use Sikot as an example because they're a perfect case study. 2017, Sikot be the tell when I say I be the control commando, right? The Terminators, right? It tell when I say I control them, right? They use them through different platforms. They transact those forces from the Ayuk IG. They transfer for loyalty to Sako IG. When they get the fallout through the Sako IG, the SDF parliamentarian, the CPDM parliamentarian, once they start to get the fallout, what will happen for that force? So they will only use that force as a political transaction, as a financial transaction between the Sikot and the network of agents Until I say they call me while they live, and you know that they live. Talk to me after, I beg. No worries, man. Amazonians. The person, a person they see me, you know that they live. You watch me live, and then you pick a telephone to me, call me. Anyway, so when I see what they be doing, they use that force. These talented boys, we all them they come out for ADF. They go set up their own. They start to use them using tribalism, for use them for create enemy, for create infighting with ADF, for create an impression as the ADF SG, Comrade Ayamba, he talked on a few days ago. Their goal will be for create a very hostile situation for the ground. Alright? Let me say the occupier a goal and for take the liberation struggle as a struggle where people that fight for independence, so that it be a struggle with people that fight amongst themselves. For take all these fighters so that they want them for Momo will be the most hostile environment. All these forces will be under these cartels, this CPDM and SDF influence and the government influence elites. They use them for create a hostile environment and for give the impression to the Ambazonian people say they need fight for independence. It will be just an impression, and the intention it will be say make our fighters they turn their guns on each other, they kill each other, and then the Ambazonian people will say no, we don't want this liberation struggle again. The AGOFC it pay a very high price. ADF pay high price because would you understand the game and would try not to fall for that trap. So the AGOFC pay a price on behalf of Ambazonia for make sure say Ambazonia not descend into the chaos where Cameroun it influence, pay money for push you into. Ask yourself, which don't happen with all these forces. You know that they see they will transact the forces, give them, sell them for yoke. From a yoke, they sell them for Sako. From Sako, they sell them for other groups. And then they start to change allegiance. Right? They start to change the allegiance of these forces. They do the same thing with no pity. In fact, I will actually make an outing for all Wana on General No Pity. I will make a whole outing for all Wana on the contributions of General No Pity, of the late General No Pity. I will make one outing and I will explain so many things for Wana and how they want also use General No Pity and do the same thing with General No Pity. But today I know we'll go into that because it could take another hour and I don't want to stay here for too long. All which I want to make una know, the forces on the ground today, the one way they don't survive, they hide their own weapon. That's the first thing I need for now. After 7 years, Ambazonia don't lost a lot of forces. Not been a through La Republique, not through deliberate exposure of these forces to the enemy, for eliminate them, for end the armed resistance. Through these discredited leaders, for their political expediency on behalf of SDF and CPDM elites. Be sad. That's why I need to take this liberation lightly. That's why we must do whatever it takes to educate the one where they still their life, for inform them and for get them, for do whatever it takes for survive, so that no person, including the CDN, will feel manipulate them. That one is subject for another day. I get so many things on my file for which they do and for our people them. For the manipulation of our people them. I get so much. But no need for unpack everything today, right? Okay. All what you need for now, ground zero, don't be wise. That's why, regardless of the screaming, the secret, they be just inconsequential when it comes to the Ambazonia liberation struggle. All them, the forces on the ground, they know say they only did it for financial transactions. Now for use them for corrupt purposes and dump them. And they know how many generals they don't die for their hand. And how much money they take out. So the forces on the ground, they don't be wise. That's why when I need to see generals, they don't die anyhow. That's why when I need to see forces, they don't die anyhow. So their noise on social media, it ends on social media. Their goal now for intoxicate your mind. That means that for make you not reason. Now for make you not think. That's why when the AGOFC, it consult with the ADF and will bring other forces together for mount this economic pressure on Cameroon. When I don't hear Paul Biya come off outside, it is scream about the closure of that road. When I don't hear Paul Biya call the United Nations, call the international community, it call government of Canada, call the UN, call AAU, EU, complain about, the AGOFC don't close road. When I don't hear Diongute come off outside, even Atanga and Jipor, when are the Minister of Territorial Administration, when I don't hear you come off outside, can begin to cry about the closure of the Trans-African Highway. The only people that they cry and complain and lament and irritate una, now the paid agents of SDF, CPDM elites, Cameroon underground elites, and their intelligence network. Why they say the Cameroon government need to complain and cry about the road? Because they know it's a war between we and them, and we are going for punish Cameroon. So if Nasiko they can cry, now the thief man and the traitor Ngong they can cry. Now the JK them, now the Mark Barretta them, now the Chris Anu them that they can cry. Why none of you understand their motive? They cry now on whose behalf? They need cry because they love you. They cry now because Cameroon is in pain. They cry now because you win. Every time you win, now then they can't cry on behalf of Cameroon. So now pay cry die agents of Cameroon. Because Diongute for come off outside, can't talk say the Ambazonia Governing Council and its forces, the Ambazonia Defense Forces and their sister forces, the nationalist forces, they don't be able for close the Trans-African Highway. Now a defeat to Cameroon. Because it portrayed Cameroon loss of authority on the territory. So the Nofi can't talk of outside. They are paid cry agents, they are crying about the closure of the Trans-African Highway where it economically bleed La Republique. Now a sign for una. That's Diongute crying on behalf of Sikor. That's Diongute crying. That's Sikor crying on behalf of Diongute. That's Ngong crying on behalf of Paul Biya and Diongute. Chris Anu, they cry now on behalf of them. Because you be effective. Cameroon, they sink. Every day with that road be closed, Cameroon, they lost billions. And would make things that become very expensive for Cameroon. Would make them become very expensive for Cameroon. Would it make chop become very expensive for Cameroon? Would it increase the cost, the financial cost, the economic cost, the social cost on Cameroun. If you understand again, you, the ordinary Ambazonian, not live on, make the noise of the as community, the assembly of Confucianists, they get to you. Now you get control of the ground, not be them. Their noise ends on social media. Their noise are for irritate you. So how you feel protect yourself from destructive anti-Ambazonian information? Number one, unsubscribe to anything where they irritate you. Unsubscribe to anything. Any person where you know say for 7 years, it don't prove to you, say it like Mr. Ngong don't tell you how he openly stand for one Cameroun, he support the failed policy of special status. He don't tell you openly, he never deny. So he don't really tell you where he stand. Why did you go listen for you where they already tell you where he stand? If not been a way you stand that and not been a way you want and that and wait now you support that, then you listening to it, you be part of the confusion and the drama for this Ambazonian liberation struggle. And therefore, you allow yourself, your mind to be polluted. I need to listen for that kind of thing then. I need to listen for Cristiano. I'm sorry to tell you that is. I need to listen for all of those things. I need to protect my mind and I need to remain focused. Because if you know say a poison, some person, you know say person put poison for water, there is no human being who knows say a poison that we don't put them for water. We go carry that water drink. And then they come out again, go carry that water drink. And then they come out again, go carry that water drink. Why you they consume the poison of your mind? Why you they consume the most destructive poison? With that information. Destructive information, na poison. Toxic information, na poison. It affect you emotionally. It affect you psychologically. It affect your mood. It affect your feeling. It affect even how you think, whether you support the liberation struggle or not support the liberation struggle. So why do you go listen for those things? Unsubscribe to all of those things. The moment you hear their voice on audio, you delete that audio. Not forward them to the next person. Any man at this stage of the liberation struggle, it not tell you, make you arm ground zero, where you know say that the only thing that the international community don't tell you say, if you do it will give you independence. When you arm ground zero, what's it happen? You get a credible negotiation for Canada talks and you trash La République du Cameroun. First thing I want to tell you that. Unsubscribe to all this noise. Stop for follow them on Facebook. Stop for listening for them. Alright? Even me, the day when I start for talk anti-Ambazonia, I start for preach to you about Cameroun, please block me. Unsubscribe. Not listen to my voice. Any person is start for tell you something contrary to what people they want, what people they demand, please unsubscribe to that person. Any person will fight ground zero. It fight until we work. Please focus. You be a nationalist. A nationalist. You need to listen for any other alternative. For you to succeed, you must focus on the objective. With the leader, don't lay them out. You don't give the leader a mission. When I don't give the leader a purpose, when I don't give a task, when I talk say the leader, now wait till all we don't talk say we want them this. Now wait till we ask you, make you focus with for achievement. Wait till we owe for now the truth and the honesty. When any person do something will be really good, we will come back, we can tell you now. If tomorrow any person repent, and based on the evaluation, we also don't repent based on their actions and their articulations, and they come clean, we'll come back and tell you now. And then we'll give them time for prove themselves is truly they repent, or not just a repentant snake where you want, I mean now the same old chameleon where one can pretend for una for win una trust again and then derail una. We go can't tell una because we get those skills and the ability for detect those kind of things then. So shake, you know they. The only people they shake now La Republique. La Republique don't finish like cocoa soap. We the Ambazonian people, them don't wash and finish La Republique soap like cocoa soap. We don't wash La Republique soap, finish them like cocoa soap. We don't finish them politically. We don't finish them economically. We don't finish them financially. We don't finish them socially. We don't finish them culturally. La Republique, we don't finish them so like cocoa soap. They be underestimate who you be. They use all kind of manipulations through middlemen, movements. They not feel still succeed because of you, because of what you want to build them for ground zero. What you don't build them for ground zero, those nationalist forces them for ground zero, they don't protect and defend the liberation and the interest of the Ambazonian people. No man of it derail Ambazonia. Now only one appeal I get them for all now. Tonight. One appeal. Pay your liberation tax. And the ticket to the kingdom of our freedom at this stage of our independence. For 2 weeks, for January and February, and the first 2 weeks for March, the Ambazonia Governing Council erased 25 million CFA for liberation tax. Make a repeat. I'll be talking from my audio. Maybe some of them are not here. For the first 2 months of this year for 2024, and following the 2 weeks after that, let me say 2 months and 2 weeks, the Ambazonia Governing Council, it generate a revenue of 25 million CFA. That 10,000, 5,000 where they pay for ground zero. They put all the money together for 2 weeks and 2 months. The money come out 25 million CFA. So calculate how many people then where they will pay 10,000 and 5,000 for that money for reach 25 million for 2 months and 2 weeks. That's the power of Ambazonia Governing Council. That the power of vision that. That the power of truth that. Between August, September, October, November, December, the money, na good amount of money with the egg of sea, eraser, and for those 6 months or 5 months, they take that money, they put them for ADF, all the money, they put them as a budget for the ADF. For the first time, the Ambazonia Defense Forces are the only force where it gets such a big budget. The one where they don't first put them, and then with the other 25 million, they don't raise them now. The ADF get a big budget for fight the war for a long time. And this one will just the begin, because the campaign for the liberation tax just the start. It just the start. La Republique no place where things at the end. La Republique no place where things at the end. Because we know what we put them on the ground. We know what we build them. The leader don't tell now. This year, we could take 2 states, capture them. That means for those 2 states, all the B camp, they will be wiped out. There will be no B camp, no gendarme station, no army camp, no police station. There will be no DO, there will be no SDO. Everything La Republique for 2 states will be completely wiped out. Those 2 states for 2024. Now our goal that, now our mission that for capture 2 states and liberate 2 states completely. And we know what it already happened on the ground. We see the signs already where we did not only for the month of March. We know the progress we will make up for the specific place that we will go. Dr. Cho is not kidding with La Republique. They no go do all those things that they don't do for our people then since 1961, and we not expect we for laugh upobia. They no go don't do all those things where they do them for burn 1,000 villages and render wa mommy them, wa papa them, wa people them homeless. And when I expect we for go the shidon they get meeting with opposition leaders in Cameroon. When we just come out for trash them for Canada talks, you know go come out for sit down for compel the occupation government for can't talk for you through the international community. And then you come out again, you go begin to talk with people the way even themselves said they don't even know whether they go end for jail tomorrow. Man. So we must be a people where they get a sense of pride for protect the lives of our people then. You must get such a love for your heart for our picking them. And you know go one make this thing ever repeat itself again. And no go one make they born the next big mommy, or kill the next big papa, or rape the next sister. It must end. So the ache of sitting down for a place for lead this war without any compromise. And I want to make it today may be very clear for every Ambazonian. After 7 years, Ambazonian political leaders, they don't lost their respect, they discredit themselves, disgrace themselves, humiliate the Ambazonian people. At this stage of our liberation struggle, none of Ambazonian political leaders were out here. They don't show any sense of nationalism. As the leader don't talk, will not get any more interest with their low level playing, with the low level where they play the game. The ache of sin not get any interest for discuss anything with anybody. We focus and for provide, for use the liberation tax money for arm all the nationalist forces on the ground. The focus of Dr. Cho now for arm use the liberation tax money, arm all the nationalist forces on the ground, complete the liberation of Ambazonia, and give our people back their country. These people them, they don't fail the Ambazonian people them after 7 years. They don't distract and derail we. They don't lose their relevance. They lost their respect and fall from grace. Abuse the trust and power of our people then. No man on it for wasted time. Any person don't prove him or herself. And the forces on the ground, they need help. And the focus of the leader that. The liberation tax money, now money for war. Not be now money for egg of sea. And the fighters on the ground, they fight the war. And now the leader in responsibility for give them what they need for implement the policy of the liberation. Alright? So all the nationalist forces on the ground. And by the way, if he asks me the question, who be a nationalist force? I don't get that criteria right now. I will go back for the leader, make it give me the definition and the criteria of the force. I will go back for the leader and the war council. May they give me all the criteria where they don't put down as forces, the benchmark where they don't put down as forces where they qualify for call them nationalist forces. All right. So now the goal out of the egg of sea. Use the Ambazonian people their money where they don't trust egg of sea with this money, and arm the forces on the ground. Give them what they need. Number one, for themselves for survive. Number two, for defend and protect our community. And number three, for chase La Republic of Cameroun out. We'll get a very big agenda for unite forces on the ground. All the when we talk say for unite forces on the ground, we'll not talk say these forces they will come under the ADF. The 7 Qatar, they will remain the 7 Qatar. They will get their own leadership. Where they get their own leadership, we're going to work with the 7 Qatar leadership as just an example. For work with that leadership, do an assessment of which those forces they need them for become more effective. The kind of training where they need them for their own area of territorial control. How will we help them for eliminate anything we remain of La Republique? So when we talk say for forces for unite, not enough for them for all for come under ADF. No. Every force must remain the way they. The forces of General Aruke, as all wanna know, they don't sign a political understanding with the Ambazonia Governing Council, and they don't talk say they go fight now with the Ambazonia Governing Council. They go there now under the political umbrella of the Ambazonia Governing Council. They remain an independent force as a nationalist force for the Ambazonian people then. The Ambazonia Governing Council will be responsible for funding that force, and they will appoint a chairman who will manage that force, and then he will report for the Ambazonia Governing Council. And that the Ambazonia Governing Council will represent the British Southern Cameroon resistance forces should in case of any negotiation. Now the same thing, the kind of relationship that with the AIG of C1 build a transparent relationship with all the nationalist forces on the ground. They maintain their independent, unique identity as the way they create them. We're going to forgive them political leadership, forgive them that defense leadership, forgive them, help them with the kind of training where they need them, with the kind way, the kind character and attitude, and for follow a code of conduct who would already establish them. For continuously get the consistent support for fight the war and drive Cameroon out. Now the leader, he go that. For any other thing outside here, will not be interested. We're going for end what people they are suffering, and we'll go follow now which they will help with for speed up that process. The leader will be addressed now for the early part of April. For tell the Ambazonia people because the AGOFC go adopt very harsh economic policies on Cameroon. For the coming weeks, or probably the coming month, we go adopt very strong measures for permanently crumble Cameroon. And we will give our people them enough time for prepare. But those measures, not be enough for our people them, not for punish Cameroon. And we will give our people them alternative ways for do business, alternative ways for them for sell their food stock, alternative markets for their produce. Because which it come for Cameroon, it could be very deadly. The egg of sea mean business, and Ambazonia must be free. We must do everything humanly possible as a generation and as a people for reduce the time we were people that they suffer. Okay, my primary concern as an organization and we forces them. Now, what we will quickly do if we liberate 2 states. Then all our people, them, these 750,000 Ambazonians, where they stay for bush, will get a place for bring them in. Create spaces and start to rebuild our community and give our people them. Create spaces where we fit take care of our people them. No other people fit take care of our people them than ourselves. So once we finish the liberation of 2 states, we create conducive environment with 750,000 Ambazonians if we move in. Conducive environment. Hello, you're calling from Spain. How you doing? All right, call me back. So we'll create conducive environment for all that were picking the way they stay for bush, for get school for go. For mommy them would they never ever been seen by a doctor for 7 years, for get clinics, for them for go do all tests. Malaria tests, cholera tests, all kind of tests them for be seen, for being checked. All the women they don't be pregnant, they will get place and when the people check them for make sure say the woman and the pikin they be okay. So we get a very big, broad vision for our people there. Time not there for waste time. All right? So pay your liberation tax. If you never pay them, you see the progress of the liberation tax. You see the millions of Ambazonians who they pay the liberation tax. You see the year, the hundreds of thousands who they pay their liberation tax. All right? We just there at the beginning of this process. We need to raise a lot of money for change the game on the ground. Those forces now, they need big weapons, RPGs. And our communication that will fight us. And the fighters, they really love the communication because they see things that happen in real time. And fighters, now the first time to testify how powerful they be, how strong they be. The Ambazonia Defense Forces, it be more stronger today, even on the day with the King General Efan. The ADF, it be more stronger today than even when General Efan be alive. It be more powerful today than even when the Supreme be alive. Now who will be this? We will continuously make progress on behalf of the Amazonian people. I will not take no shit and no noise from any person we want to distract our people. We will confront you, we will fight you, we will battle you. If we feel fight and defeat La République du Cameroun, then would it be these noisemakers? When I get trust, when I get confidence, we'll be Ambazonia, we'll be egg of sea, shake, there. Tomorrow, we'll get a panel discussion with, it will be myself, it will be the chairman of the US mission, Grandpa America. So we will get a powerful discussion for tomorrow. So tomorrow, not miss what will happen for ACN around that kind of 7 to 8 p.m. Ambazonia time. I know say tomorrow, na Saturday, na the way, all right. All the young boys, when I go find play, when I young girls, they when I try for. I know I understand Saturday. When I don't go hustle so for Saturday reach. When I try for go, now I want go ginger skin. We know now. All the young girls tomorrow. I know tonight when I did make plan, I will meet up tomorrow. Don't forget, before you want to go meet up tomorrow, finish your liberation education first, and then when I go enjoy myself. I'm not talking about not enjoying myself. Even during wartime, life's supposed to be. All right, but do I'm so respectfully, do I'm so in for be safe. All right, when I enjoy myself, because in the process of life, we not deprive. We not even talk say make una deprive myself for this stage of life. All right, so because the more happy you be, the more hopeful you be, the more you take care of yourself, the more say things will continue to work out and prepare ourselves for our country. All right. My last thing I want to tell now, make everybody on the ground start for prepare yourself for the responsibilities ahead. Now when I go govern the country, now when I go be the mayors of Ambazonia, start for prepare yourself for live for a corruption-free system. For a system where if now 1 million they put them for a community development, 1 million must go for that community development and accountability must be to that community. When I start for preparing ourselves, all we're beginning, when I start for preparing ourselves, Cameroon be deprived of opportunities. The egg of sea will give all the opportunities we need them. Now in our country, we start for preparing ourselves. We start for learn how to lead. We start for learn how to work with people then. We start for learn human behavior skills, human management skills, leadership skills. All right? We start for learn skills for business. Because on time I go to do a program and bring people there to teach how to run a small business. If you be a nurse, how to run your own clinic. So now the future be very bright for all now. Now be very hopeful. And also the last 63 years don't be very shameful and very painful for all now. The future be bright. We guarantee another one. We know what they come. Cameroon the time for our country don't end. And the time now for enjoy. And the time now for be the governors, the kings and the queens, to be the mayors, the parliamentarians, whatever one want create a senate. Now when I go be everything. Now for una. This liberation struggle, now for And the power we Cameroun not take steal and from una and give una that power back. Una here, we got to make all our papa them proud, make all our mommy them proud. Make all our big mommy them proud of their picking them and their grand picking them. So we'll be Ambazonians. Una get a good night. Man, we keep una up plenty. I know say some of una stay up just so that una listen, una sleep fine. Una take care with the talk on tomorrow during the panel discussion. All right? Una good night.
But one thing I know, Mimi Mayfor, is the CDC deal. Dr. Samuel Komesago cannot say it did not exist because I took it to him. I'm going to end it there. But one thing I know, Mimi Mayfor, is the CDC deal. Dr. Samuel Komesago cannot say it did not exist because I took it to him. I'm going to end it there.
Welcome to ACN.